Hey guys, thank you for tuning into Topic Toss. My name is Becca, and every week we're going to have a new topic of discussion with stories, advice, and some music to pass the time. I hope that your week has been starting off great. This week's topic is Am I the A-hole? Now, all of these stories are from the Am I the A-hole subreddit on reddit.com. And from this point forward, I am going to say AITA just for not having to say the full thing every time I say it. But I hope you guys enjoy our stories today, and we're going to start off with our first one. AITA for wearing a wedding dress at a wedding. So my friend, 20F, and I, 19M, have been friends for a few years, and she recently got engaged. A week ago, I got a DM from her for a small costume party she was hosting in celebration of her getting engaged. I asked if there was a theme, and she said that there wasn't. I'm a cosplayer, so I had a lot of choices. I didn't want to rock up in an anime cosplay, so I thought it would be funny to go to an engagement party as the corpse bride. I arrived at her house yesterday and everything seemed normal. A few people complimented my outfit and I was having a lot of fun. About 10 minutes after my friend's fiance walked out in a black tuxedo and announced that it was actually their wedding. Apparently, my friend saw a video of somebody doing this and wanted to do the same. He asked us all to go out to the backyard for the ceremony to begin. I went straight up to him and I asked him if I should go home and change my outfit and that I would be back before it started. He told me it was fine since I didn't know that it was a wedding. I trusted him and followed everyone outside. They got married, everything seemed good. The reception was just in their house again, so everyone just walked back inside and picked up where they left off. I tried talking to my friend and celebrated with her, but she kept making excuses to not talk to me. I assumed it was just because she was tired from the big day and wanted some alone time. I didn't bother her after that and the party soon ended. I got home and half an hour had passed when my phone started getting notifications. I checked and it was my friend texting me. She cussed me out and told me that I ruined her wedding. I was really confused and asked what I did. That only made her more angry. She told me that it was basic knowledge not to wear a wedding dress to a wedding. I reminded her that I had no idea it was a wedding and that I asked her now husband if I should change and he said it was fine. She didn't respond, but I got a text from her husband. He asked why I told her that he said it would be fine. I told him he said it was fine. Then he said how I should have changed anyways and that it's my fault that the two are now fighting over this. I've tried texting her that I was sorry and if I had known, I wouldn't have done it. I woke up today and saw her and her husband have blocked me on everything, so AITA for not changing out of a wedding dress when I found out that it was actually a wedding. Edit. I am a guy. I cosplay the character Emily for the corpse bride and have blue paint all over. I'm also Australian and I've never heard of a costume party meaning fancy. Everyone was dressed up in funny costumes. Now there is also an update which I'll read now. Since they blocked me on everything, I did not try to reach out since it was a waste of effort, but I didn't block them back. If they wanted to talk, I was fine with it. 2 days ago, I was unblocked by my friend. She asked if she could call and talk about what had happened, and I agreed. She's apologized for blowing up at me like she did, and she also told me that she was still upset. I was only made aware because of the comments and now her, that wedding dress attire to anything wedding related is common sense. All I knew is that no white on the wedding day was allowed. Honestly, after people informed me, I felt awful and downright stupid, so I apologized back for not running it through her when I should have, since I didn't know. I know lots of people were telling me to cut her off, but I've known her since I was 14, so I'm glad we can stay friends. Her husband, on the other hand, he had told her that he came up to me and asked me to change, and apparently I told him it didn't matter because I was already there, or something along those lines. She was crying a lot when she was telling me this. After she blew up at me and I told her the real story, she got mad at her husband. The husband suggested both of them block me so that the fight would stop. She agreed to it and was still upset by all of it. Eventually, she started asking people who were at the wedding to see what happened. 3 people saw me walk up to him and heard me ask. This is where she learned her husband lied to her. Again, a huge fight between them two. Turns out he's hated me since I met them 5 years ago. They had already been dating for a year beforehand. I became good friends with her, not him. He felt as though I was trying to take his girlfriend. I didn't know what I did to make him feel this way. She's beautiful, but I'd never do that to anybody. I don't know why he'd wait 5 years, but he decided the day of his wedding was the best time to, quote-unquote, get rid of me. I'm not really sure what's going to happen to them in the future. She's staying at another friend's house until her and her husband are able to talk about it. I doubt that I'll update anymore because update they're divorced is insensitive. Again, thanks for everyone for all of the advice and points of views. When I tell you, the first time I read this, it was like a spiral in my brain. I couldn't understand the situation in this story. It was so insane to me. I've never heard of this happening before. First of all, on his side about this, I don't think that he's the a-hole here, because I think personally, if I had done an engagement party and I had done a costume party for it and he showed up as the corpse bride, I would have thought that that was the funniest thing in the world. Now, I will say it wasn't actually a costume party, it was a wedding. That part is a little scary because I wouldn't do that. Because I'm thinking about people in my family and people I know, and I know if I told them to do a costume party, I probably wouldn't want photos of them. I wouldn't want to see those photos and be like, yeah, this was my wedding day. I don't know. But that is their personal opinion on if they think that that was a thing they wanted to do. But who is that husband? I would be so mad at my husband if I found this out. First of all, how dare you allow him to wear the wedding dress in the first place? Like, you know, it's the wedding. You see him. He even offers to leave. Whether you wanted to get rid of him as my friend or not, that's selfish, because you should know that that would make me upset. That would make any woman upset, I think, in this situation. Also, how dare you try to get rid of my friend? Again, who do you think you are? Obviously, you don't care enough about the fact that they're my friend. I don't appreciate that. I really hope that they have like a true, like, deep conversation about it, because I would be so upset. But that's not me saying that I think that they should break up or divorce or anything like that. You know, this is just something that they can work out and talk about. But I really hope, for her sake, that the husband doesn't try and make her drop her friend just because he doesn't like him. So I think I consider myself a very funny person. And the first time I opened up my browser to try and find a song, and before I even pressed enter, I knew what song I wanted, because I like making people upset because it's funny. And the first thing that popped into my head is Trey Songz Mr. Steal Your Girl. So I hope you guys enjoyed that song because it made me laugh for no reason. So here it is, Trey Songz. All right, I hope you enjoyed that last song. Now, our next story says, AITA for reporting my classmates for joking that I have pretty privilege. Background: I, 23F, am one of only a few female students at a male dominated course. Furthermore, I'm at a highly prestigious university and I haven't really gotten along with the guys in my course. They are all very competitive and I just don't really enjoy their company, and they definitely take me less seriously because I'm a woman. I stopped interacting with them beyond the mere minimum and choose to hang out with other people. Anyway, I did well in my recent exams. I was the top of 2 out of the 4 exams we've had so far. Our professor congratulated me during class. I wouldn't have advertised this myself. Ever since then, my interactions with a specific group of male classmates has gotten weird. They're now outright rude and challenge me aggressively in class discussions. We recently had some presentations, and one of them chose to do theirs on, to put it simply, quote unquote, pretty privilege. They specifically pointed to 2 papers that suggest that pretty female students get overscored in assignments. The only guys in the group snickered, and one even gave me a wink. Afterwards, I heard them in the hallway joking that they had experience with it themselves. I've been seeing a PhD student within our department for a month. He has literally nothing to do with this course. Well, we ran into one of my course mates, we'll call him A, together. The next day in class, his friend, B, asked me if, quote unquote, my boyfriend helped me with my exams. He said this intentionally loud and in front of the professor who heard it. I replied that I don't have a boyfriend because he isn't. And then B pointed out that he had run into me with the PhD student, making a point to say his name. The professor knows him. I just replied that we're only friends. They didn't let up. I heard that they discussed this twice more in classes, in earshot of our professor. Both times they suggested that I got help from my exams. I wasn't even with him when they happened. I didn't confront them, but this has been causing me so much anxiety. Even without the exam accusations, I worked hard to get here, and I didn't want to be known among the faculty for my dating life. I raised this issue with my supervisor without the intention of taking it any further, but I wanted her advice as a woman in academia. She convinced me to let her email their supervisors to remind them of proper conduct, and they described their treatment of a unnamed female student. She didn't name me, but they figured it out. They confronted me after class and asked me why I would report their silly jokes. Apparently, their supervisors are now very cold towards them and are less interested in helping them. It's not a formal complaint, only their supervisors know. But one of them, C, said that his supervisor writes the reports for his financial aid and scholarship, and it was my fault if he lost out on it. I now feel embarrassed, and this was compounded by a friend telling me that I took it too far because C shouldn't lose his scholarship. So, AITA. No. No, 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 no. How dare they? They made your life for some time, and the second that they get any type of repercussions, it wasn't even a repercussion. It was literally their supervisor saying, hey, remember you have to treat people with respect on this campus. And they're upset. That sounds like privilege all on its own. I think these men, boys, I consider them boys. I think these boys are privileged in their own right, and that they want everything handed to them, and they're just upset because a girl is doing better than them. And I think that's it. And as for one of them possibly losing his scholarship, do I think that he deserves that? No. But at the same time, maybe he should have thought about it before, being rude and somewhat harassing to another student, whether she's a woman or not. Doesn't matter. He shouldn't have been treating another student the way that he was treating her. So I don't feel bad for them. I don't. Do I think that they need to be reprimanded? No. I think that the way that it was taken was perfectly fine. Because like she said, there was no actual reports made. It's not in their files. Nothing's going to happen to them. Just that they need to learn how to treat people better. And I think that that's for the best. Because in terms of the scholarship, scholarships are for people to help them further their education and learn. I don't think somebody who is actively trying to worsen somebody else's educational experience deserves to have that scholarship. But at the same time, I don't think it would be a good idea to ruin the little bit of chances that he does have right now. Obviously, he is in somewhat need if he's getting financial aid and a scholarship. But like I said before, I don't feel bad for them. I think this is a good learning experience for them. And hopefully they just, in general, treat people better after this. So that's my take on it. I don't think that this person is the a-hole. I think, especially because there was no intent behind it, she was just like, hey, what do I do in this situation? Person to person. And her advisor or supervisor, whatever, came up with an idea. That being said, let's get into our next song. Our next song is If I Were a Boy by Beyonce. Because, again, this song showcases just how difficult it is to be a woman in today's society. And I think this girl has probably had points in her life where she realizes how far she's come and gets the feeling that she won't be able to do everything she wants because she's not a boy. She's not a man. And I don't want that for her. So I'm doing this song to bring awareness to that. Hope you enjoy. All right, so our next one says AITA, male 25, for snapping at my friend, female 22. The backstory is I've known my friend Rose for 3 years. We met at college and have become very close. Now it says, over the past 3 years, I've developed romantic feelings for Rose, and we had a conversation about those feelings 6 months ago. During that conversation, I told her that it was okay if nothing came of it and to not feel pressured into anything. She said that she needed time to process a recent breakup and that she was going through, and I said that it was okay and everything went back to semi-normal, where we talked daily and she called me several times a week. 2 months later, I got heavily intoxicated at a friend's party and ended up texting her that I loved her. The next morning, I apologized and said I'd understand if she never wanted to speak to me again. Rose said that she felt kind of uncomfortable at that point, and I said that I understood and didn't press anything. We didn't talk for 3 weeks after that. Once we talked again, we had another conversation about it, and she expressed that she needed time and said that she had feelings for me. I said that I understood and apologized for what I said. Since that conversation, she's sent mixed signals for months. She'll ask to go to dinner, just us. We'll go, and it's great. The next week, she'll suggest that we should do something with my friends or her friends, but then she flakes out of those plans last minute. This has happened multiple times. Fast forward to the past few days. I've been dealing with family issues, namely the declining health of my sister and my dad. I tend to keep to myself when dealing with issues like this. I told her I just needed some time for myself and that it would be okay, and I gave no specifics. I ignored her text last night as she kept asking if I was upset because of her. She usually assumes that the issue I'm dealing with is about her and that I'm mad at her. She had texted me and said that I won't be hearing from her anymore and that I lied to her and that the reason I was upset was because of her. She said that we should just be classmates instead of friends or more. That's when I snapped and said that I was dealing with family issues and went into more detail about it. I told her F you and that I need space, but instead of giving me that space, she pushed and assumed everything was about her. I said that not everything's about her and that sometimes I just need a few days to process. To that, she replied that she was sorry to hear me going through something and that she was sorry that I didn't feel comfortable enough sharing it with her. She then said that the friendship was over and that she wasn't going to tolerate being treated how I treated her. She said that she was done. I know that the situation could have been prevented by me being a better communicator. I've struggled with this in personal relationships. I tend to deal with heavy emotions alone. This is the first time I've snapped at her on this level in 3 years of knowing her. AITA. This one's really hard for me. Um, just to point out, everybody on the actual Reddit, there's not a lot on this one so far, but the couple of people that did answer said that everybody in the situation sucks, which honestly, I think the situation sucks, not the people. Um and I feel bad because in this situation, yes, these people are the a-holes, but you can tell that they're normal people. They're not acting like this all the time. Um I do think it's a little messed up that she keeps leading him on. Um that's not fair to him, especially after she already admitted that she did have feelings for him. Um do I think that he is the a-hole for snapping at her? Yes. Do I think he's an a-hole? No. Do I think it would have been better if he had told her about what was going on? 100%. And even if he does prefer being the type of person to go through his stuff alone, he could have done that and given a simple explanation that he wanted to be alone. Like, when she was blowing up his phone, all he had to do before she even started blowing it up was say, hey, you know, I'm going through some family stuff right now. I can't talk. I'll let you know if anything goes on in a couple days. And that could have been it. Now, if anything had happened further after that point, that's on her end. Like, that's her problem. At that point, she would be the a-hole. But he said in it that, he ignored her text messages. I want you to think, if you think that it's because of you and you say, hey, are you upset at me? And they ignore you. Hello? They ignore you. I didn't mean to do anything wrong. Like, what did I do? They ignore you. I would probably think that it's my fault too. I would. Because I get upset and sad if I think that people are mad at me. I get it. But like I said, I think that both of them did something that was a-hole-ish. But in general, I don't think that they're a-holes. I think that they're just normal people and the situation kind of sucked. So because of that, the song that I decided to pick for them is Complicated by Avril Lavigne. Because A, she's amazing, B, this song's amazing, and C, just listen to it. Their whole lives together became complicated because of their feelings for each other. And it fits. It does. So I hope you guys enjoy. And all right, so our next one blew my mind when I read it. And this says AITA for suing my parents for my college money. My great aunt set up a savings account for all of her female relatives. In our culture, education for women is not really valued, and she thought that it was BS. She lived with her father in London, where she was educated. She went on to attend university and became a doctor. She married a British man, they moved to America, and had a great life. She funded the education of as many of her nieces, grandnieces as she could. When she passed away, she left money for every girl relative that she could. My parents managed to access the accounts that were set up for my sister and I, and they used it to pay for my brother's wedding. My sister didn't care because she got married 2 years out of high school and had no intentions of going to college. When I graduated, I went to the bank to get the money for school, and it was almost all gone. There was like $13,000 left. I asked my parents about it, and they said that they had needed the money. I finally found out where the money went, and I got furious. I got student loans and moved out. I am a great source of shame for them, and I don't give two dings. I'm currently suing them for the money that they left for me. My entire family is against me, and they all think that I'm a complete a-hole for airing private family business in public, and that I'm putting money ahead of family. My friends are all on my side, but they are all Americans, and they don't really get my culture. Neither do I, to be honest. My brother called me up and offered to pay for my university if I dropped the lawsuit. I agreed to as long as he had a legal binding contract. He said that I was being an a-hole for not trusting him, and I said that he should have not accepted the money for his wedding. It is causing all kinds of embarrassment in our community. I am somewhat ashamed to be doing this, but I don't want to have this debt that I shouldn't have. Forget them, first of all. That's not theirs to take to begin with. It never was theirs. It'd be. Uh, it's an iffy situation, but if it was the parents' money to begin with and they put it aside for you and they decided to use it for something else, would it be rude and not cool? Yeah. But at the same time, it was their money to begin with. This was never their money. And how expensive was this wedding? Because the original poster, she put out that there was enough money in the accounts for both her and her sister to go to undergrad university from start to graduation and not pay anything. So I would really love to know what kind of a wedding they put on for it to be that much. And I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't just for the wedding and there was extra money taken out that she doesn't know about. Because there's no way that a money like I can't understand. Like two people's entire like I I can't even wrap my head around it. Like it's crazy. Like imagine, let's say 20,000 a year times 4 is $100,000 times 2 is $200,000 with only $13,000 left. So what? You spent almost $190,000 on a wedding? I don't believe that for a second. Genuinely, I don't. I've heard of crazy, like, astronomical weddings. They're not even that expensive. So, like I said, I would not be surprised, even in the slightest, if it was gone somewhere else. But I don't think that she should worry for a second for being disrespectful or the a-hole in the situation, because it was her money to begin with. And I do like that the brother did try to like fix the situation, but I also think that he's just as screwed up because why would you get upset about her wanting a contract? She's already been duped before by the family. Like why would she trust you at this point? Her own parents she doesn't trust anymore now. Granted, this is, like she said, a different culture. I don't know what the culture is. I'm not going to try and make assumptions as to how this culture acts. But as an American, like she said, I think she's 100% in the right. I do not think she's an a-hole, even in the slightest. Not one bit. And her family and community can GTFO. This story just oozed this song so much that I couldn't pass it up. So we're putting in Rihanna, Be Better Have My Money. Hope you guys enjoy and then stick around for the next story. All right, so our next one says AITA for being mad at my quote unquote friends for toilet papering my house. For context, I have a group of quote unquote friends at school. I'm putting quotes because they're fake AF, and I only like basically 2 people currently a part of that group. I was already mad at one of the girls in the group before, anyways. We got into a fight because I didn't hear this girl, let's call her Sophia, when she said that she couldn't go to a place called Knott's over the weekend because of her sister's birthday. 2 other girls started telling me that they heard Sophia say that, but I lashed out because I never heard it. I stormed off, and at that point, I was only mad at Sophia for being rude and not clarifying. The rest of the friend group, except for the 2 girls I'm okay with, basically turned against me and were complaining how I wanted to go to Knott's every weekend and how I say that I want to go with my other friends from another school, but I never go. I like my other friends better anyways, and that's why I always talk about hanging out with them in front of this friend group. One night over the weekend, I see that my house is suddenly covered in toilet paper. I honestly thought it was kind of funny at first, but my mom was really angry, rightfully so. I then connected the dots in my head, and I remember that Sophia's BFF in the group, let's call her Ellie, lives right down the street from me. I also remembered all of them planning to hang out at Ellie's house on Friday night as well, so I was really angry after I figured it out. One of the girls in that group, that I'm okay with, let's call her Ruby, told me that she wasn't even at Ellie's house that night, and they confessed to Ruby that they actually did TP my house. They also said that they already told their parents, and their parents didn't care that my house was toilet papered. They thought it was a funny joke. I was even more mad that their own parents, grown adults, couldn't even apologize to my mom or take any accountability. Now I'm upset because their parents all think it's funny that my house was toilet papered, and they also never gave a proper apology. Everyone but Ruby made Ellie text me that they are sorry for toilet papering my house, but that's BS to me because they couldn't even say it themselves in a group chat. They made Ellie do it instead because they thought I was least mad at Ellie at the time. Do I have a right to be upset? AITA. The person that wrote this didn't even put their age, and I can feel the age of this post. You can't tell me the person in this post isn't in the 14 to 15-year-old range. If they're older, I don't care. They act like 14, 15. Get over yourself. Like, genuinely, just get over yourself. I've never heard a more dramatic thing in my life, honestly. And I've been through some dramatic stuff in middle school and high school, okay? But this person constantly talks about how much they like their other friends more. They don't like this friend group. Why are you even with them then? I don't feel for you. Like, I'm sorry, this is probably a child I'm talking about, but I don't feel bad. Go find new friends. Maybe learn to be a friend just by yourself and be okay with it that way. Like, whatever. But I understand getting upset that your like house is TP'd. That can be embarrassing. That can be annoying. Whatever. I'll accept that. But in my head, I'm like, isn't it a little funny that this person is always really rude to their quote unquote friends? And then suddenly these friends TP their house? I bet you there was a reason behind that. Because they're also probably awful. But I bet you there's a problem. There's a reason behind that. Because people don't just go, let me TP a house. Especially one that's somebody in our friend group. So, like I said, I don't feel bad. And also, I thought that this comment was funny. Somebody in it wrote, "Oh, the drama. I had to fan myself with a handful of teen magazines to cool off after this one. I've read this a few times and have decided you're the a-hole because you came across as a hard worker, to be honest." Where? Where? And then they said, "You say your friends are fake AF, yet you continue to hang around with them and complain. Makes you fake too, when claiming you have people that you could better be around." Exactly. Like, this this is definitely girls, first of all. Let's get that. This is definitely girls. Um, this girl is just as fake for pretending to be these people's friend when she doesn't like them. The time is not worth it. It's not worth it to hang around with somebody like that where you're like, "Ugh, I don't even like these people." Like, it's not worth it. Like, just go find new friends, honestly. But I do have a song in mind, and that is Real Friends by Camila Cabello, because all of the stuff that is talked about in the song, this petty stuff, I could see these girls doing. And all you need is some real friends in life. And I think once you find that, you can, like, as a young person, once you find that, you'll feel more comfortable in your skin and be able to start living a life where you can start growing as a person. Um, Once you feel comfortable around the people that you're around. So I hope that that happens for her, and I hope you enjoy the song. Now, this next one I think is funny. Our last one is called AITA for trying to force my husband to sell his apartment and calling it a glorified sex pad. It's so funny to me because a lot of people tore this woman apart for being the a hole, but I don't really think that she is. Now, the story says, "We used to live in an apartment my husband owned before we got married, but we moved 3 years ago because I wanted our son to have more space and a garden. My husband kept the flat mostly because it's 5 minutes from his office, so he could stay there whenever he was working extra late. I was fine with him keeping it at first, but it's causing more headache than it's worth at this point. My husband never spends the night even when he finishes late. Not to be TMI, but the only thing we use it for now is when he wants to have sex away from the kids. However, various members of our family have asked to stay there when they're visiting. There's currently an issue with my sister and stepsister because they both asked to use it at the same time, and I'm tired of this whole situation. This isn't the first time that this has happened, and I've told them both they can't use it now, but I feel like this is going to happen again eventually. I suggested to my husband to sell it, but he wouldn't even discuss it and straight up refused. We've been arguing over it for a while because I think it's pointless for us to continue holding on to it because it sits empty most of the time. I referred to the flat as a glorified sex pad, and my husband was offended by this. Yesterday, we had a big argument over it, and he told me that he didn't care if I wanted him to sell it because he wasn't going to, and we could move back in and sell the house instead if I had a problem with it. AITA. Personally, so wait, before I even get my personal opinion on this, a lot of people were tearing her apart, saying that she's super controlling and doesn't know anything, and that the only reason she wants to get rid of it is because she can't set boundaries with people and like make them like have boundaries. Now, my personal opinion is I don't really think she's the a-hole here. I don't think anybody's the a-hole here. But I don't think that she did anything wrong. I think that it's normal process in a married relationship that after you like get together, if you buy a new house, like you get rid of your apartments. That's just like normal stuff that happens. And like she said, it was like well used after they got the house because the husband was using it if like he was working late or something. But it's not getting used now. It's just a waste of space and they still have to pay bills on it when they're not even using it. So what's the point? So I totally see her side of it. And I feel like people are ripping her apart for no reason. And somebody said, this is an investment property, blah, blah, blah. You need to see that, like, getting rid of it doesn't, like, do anything for you. That's so wrong. You only make an investment if money gets brought back to you. You're putting money into an apartment for it to never give anything back because there's no money coming in. Like it's just sitting there. It's an empty market. The only way to make money would either be to rent it out, which could totally be an option. They could use it as like an Airbnb or like a short-term rental, whatever. They could rent it out, get money for it, and it still be their property. But it's just sitting there. So it's not accruing any money. Now, if they sold it, they would get money out of it. Like I said before, it's not helping them in any way. And I'm wondering if there's something more to why he wants to keep it, like maybe a sentimental reason he wants to keep it or something like that. It's not an ideal setting for a growing family when you already obviously have the means to have the house that you have. Like obviously it's not like bills that are the problem because he is willing to keep both bills. So in my head I'm wondering if there's something more to it that like even she doesn't really know. I really don't think that there's anything wrong with her. I don't think she's controlling. People kept saying that she's controlling. I don't think that that's true at all. I think that she's just over like the situation of having to deal with this like apartment that they don't even use, that's a waste of their money and people keep trying to take advantage of them for. So that's my piece with it, honestly. That's all I have to say about it. All right, so the song that I'm thinking about for her just basically says, I don't care what your opinion of me is because of all these opinions people are saying about her. And it's for her haters. So I'm giving you Billie Eilish, I Think Therefore I Am. I hope you like our last song today. This is Topic Toss with Becca, and I hope you enjoy and listen in next week. Same time, Mondays at 1 o'clock. Thank you.